Alright guys, so in this video I'm going to explain how to take off this old steering wheel and how to install a new quick release and the hub with the horn. I will be showing you guys how to wire the horn too, and that way you can have an attachable and detachable steering wheel. But basically it's a really straightforward process. I will tell you guys the tools you need. You do need, I'll show you real quick. You do need a T30 star, whatever the hell it's called, but it needs to have a hole in it. So because is what you need right here. So you see how it has that hole in there? So the bolt you take out to remove the airbag and the steering wheel, it's a T30, but it has like a little pin sticking in the middle of it, so you need the one with the hole in it in order to take it out. So go out and just buy yourself a kit like of all these, because you'll need them at some point. But this is what you need: a T30 with the indent in the middle. You're gonna need a 19mm socket, which is somewhere in here, I don't know. And then that's really it. And you might need this too to take apart a couple connectors, and obviously you're gonna need the pieces that Energy sends in the kit. And I'll go over that as we go to it. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. All right, guys. So first step, you're gonna have to unplug the negative terminal on the battery, which you can see my hood's up. I've already done that. So that's done, and the reason you do that is one, because you're working with the airbag. Two, as you're working on this, as you take out these screws on this either side, the horn starts to go off. So unplugging the terminal stops that. So do that, and then after that, you're gonna want to take out these screws. So each screw is hidden behind a cap. So on this side, you can see there's like a little cap covering it on this, and there's one on the other side too. I think I took it out already. Yeah. And this is the other side, and you can see here what I was telling you about that tool. That's the screw you need to take out, and you can see in the middle there's that raised part. So you can't use a regular T30, because if it doesn't have indentation, it won't fit. So that's why you need that T30 with indentation in it. That way it'll go in there. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start taking these screws out, and then we will go from there. All right guys, so I went ahead and got those two caps taken off, and I do have the ground terminal on the battery, or the negative, I guess. Just make sure you have that done as you are working with the airbag, and two, that horn's gonna go off, so you don't want to annoy your neighbors with the horn going off. So I'm gonna go ahead and taking out those two screws. Remember, you're gonna want to use that T30 with indentation. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on that now. All right, so now you got those two screws out. So these are the two screws you took out. So that's all you should have out right now. So you take those out, and now the airbag literally just slides off. So you can just pull it off with one hand like I'm doing here. So now you got to take off the airbag. That way you can disconnect everything else, don't have to worry about it. So you can see there's like a kind of like a gap between the airbag and the connector on the airbag. So you want to take that flat that I told you needed. You want to put it like, let me see here. I'm gonna put it like right there. You want to put it like right here. You see how it's starting to move up? You can just pry upwards. That's all you got to do. So I'm gonna do that, and then we will go from there. All right, so now you have that the airbag out. So now you can see everything that's going on in here. So first off, you're gonna want to disconnect this. This is just your not your airbag, I'm sorry. This is just your horn. So this is a regular clip. Just disconnect it, and that way when you go to take the wheel out, this isn't stopping you. So you got that disconnected now. What you want to do is you want to break this loose. So before you break this loose, what you're gonna do is you can see how my wheel's crooked now. So I locked it. You can see I can't turn it either way anymore now. So you do that because if you don't do that, when you go to break it loose, the wheel's gonna turn. So you wanna do this to, give you some leverage when you start to break this bolt loose. So before you go to break that loose, just kind of turn it and it'll lock itself. Just make sure the key's not in, otherwise it won't do it. So after that, the wheel's locked in place like this, or whichever way. It doesn't have to be right, just make sure it's locked. You can go ahead and put the 19mm on there, break it loose. Just make sure you don't take this bolt off all the way. And I'll explain that in a second. So break it loose and leave it on there a few threads, and we'll go from there, and I'll explain why you're gonna leave it on there just a little bit. All right, so now I got the socket on there. So like I said, you're gonna need some kind of breaker bar or cheater bar because it's gonna be on there pretty tight. So I'm gonna go and break this loose, and then we'll go from there, guys. So give me a second. All right, so like that, now that you have that bolt broken loose, so like I said, you wanna leave it on there just a little bit. So I loosened it just a little bit. I'm gonna leave it on the threads. You can see that it's not exactly loose yet. You're gonna have to knock on it a little bit. So you wanna hit it just like right here. And then you wanna do it like right here. And you see how it comes loose now? So if that bolt wasn't on there, it could have just like flown off and came at you and hit you in the face, and that would obviously hurt. So that's why you want to leave it on there, so that way it doesn't come flying at you. So now that that steering wheel is broken loose, you can go ahead and just take the nut off. And you're gonna want to save this nut because you're gonna need to reuse it. So keep that somewhere where you don't lose it. And now, boom. All right, guys. Now you have the old steering wheel out. This is kind of what you're left with. Now what you want to do is you want to go ahead and get your hub out. And then you're also going to want to find the bag that Energy sent you, or whoever it is you ordered from. There's going to be a bag with 2 resistors, and it's going to have a new horn connector in there. At least that's how Energy has it. If you don't order from Energy, I don't know what they send you, but Energy sent me 2 resistors and a new horn connector. So go ahead and get the horn connector plugged in, and then funnel the horn wire and the 2 airbag wires through the little cutout in your hub. And then from here you can kind of see, go ahead and get this in. You can kind of just put it up. But before you put it up, so you want to take note of this. You see this little cutout right here on the back of the hub? That is meant for this little guy right here. So you can see it sticks out. So that this piece that sticks out goes in there. It fits in there perfectly. So, but this spins, so this is an issue. This is easy to line up. The part that's really important that you cannot mess up, that is this piece right here. So you see how the stud sticking out has a line? That has to line up with the dot right here, okay? So go ahead and get that lined up. And then when you get that lined up, you can, if you look behind, I'll show you the piece of that white part that sticks out spins. So you can just put your hand back here and feel for it to be inside of the little cutout, which mine just went in there. So now it just pushes in like that, right? So that's it. So everything's lined up. You can see here that that line is lined up with that dot, and everything's gonna be flush because I have that little white piece that stuck out over here. It's in that cutout that's in the back of the hub. So that's all good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the next part ready and we'll go from there. All right, guys. So you got the hub on there. You have the dot lined up with that little cutout on the stud, and you have that white plastic piece lined up with the cutout on the back of the hub that it's meant for, and everything's lined up and flush. So what you do now is you want to take that bolt that you took off that stud originally, put it back on there. I already got mine started, and you want to just tighten it down as much as you can. So mine's already on there pretty good. So mine's good. Got on there as tight as I can. So now you gotta worry about these wires. So you have 2 airbag, 1 horn. So Energy sends you 2 resistors. Literally all you, so each resistor has like 2 ends. So all you gotta do is take each end and plug one into each of the holes in the airbag connector. So the airbag has 2 holes. One goes in that one, and the other one goes in the other hole, right? That's it. So you take the second one, do the same to the other airbag connector, like that, and that's it. That's all there is to the airbag wires. Now what you can do with these is just tuck them away into the hub. So I'm going to do that right now, so I'm not gonna worry about it anymore. Okay. So the airbag wires are out of the way. So now you're just left with this horn wire. So what you gotta do now is you take the back of your quick release. I separated my quick release, so it's just the back part of it. So behind that piece, you have 2 horn wires. You have 1 female and 1 male. But you only have 1 female end that comes from the hub, so you don't have a ground. So that's where this piece comes into play, okay? So this tab right here is gonna be used for the female end on your quick release, because this one's already being used by the horn wire. So this piece, this little tab right here, goes into the female end of this. So just run your horn wire through it. You want to put it on the hub and make sure you line it up so that way you can see all 6 holes for the screws. And that's it. So I got that lined up now. So what I do now, I'm gonna go ahead and get that male end into the female end of the horn connector. And then what I do now is I'm gonna go ahead and just tuck that away. So I got that tucked in. All right, okay. So now what I do is all I gotta do now is I just gotta get that female end on the horn and just plug that onto the ground of the metal ring, which I'm gonna do right now. So let me see here. Okay. So You see that? You see how that works? So that's the ground now. So you got to go ahead and get all the wires tucked away, and then go ahead and get everything lined up again. And then what you do from here is you just bolt everything in. So that's done. Okay. So now you got to make sure that the dot on the quick release, which you can, it's like above the NRG. So mine has NRG right here. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a dot right above it. And you want to line that up with the dot that's on the hub. So I got mine lined up. Everything's good to go. So from here, all you do is just take the supplied screws, tighten everything down, and that's it. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now, and then we'll go to the next part, which is just bolting on your steering wheel and finishing up the horn. So give me a few minutes, we'll go from there. All right guys, so you got the back part of the quick release bolted up. So now, to make it easier, I'm gonna just attach this on, and that's that. So, actually before I do that, I'm gonna explain something. So, this part of the quick release has an indent. You see the indent on it? So that's the top. So the hole with that indent underneath it has to line up with the top of the steering wheel. So that hole, that screw hole with the indent, this is the bottom, that has to go to this one. And that's how that lines up. So you want to get everything lined up again. This goes on and off only one way, so you can't mess that up. And that's that. So now you can't really mess this up. It depends on the horn, I guess. So the horn that Sparco sent me, it's male, female, male. So that's pretty self-explanatory. So I'm gonna go ahead and just get the horn wired up. So like I said, it's gonna be just connect the male to the female end and vice versa. So that's all there is to that. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. That's that. And that's that one. So the horn's wired up. So I have my battery connected. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a test. So I'm gonna push it. So here we go, 1, 2, 3. It works. So now we know that the horn works. We can go ahead and just get everything bolted back together. So I'm gonna go ahead and get all the wires tucked. 1 second here. Actually, you know what? So I'm gonna go and get it tucked, and then I'll go ahead and get it screwed on. So like I said, just make sure that the screw hole with the indent underneath it lines up with the top hole of the steering wheel. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now, and I'll go out, and after that I'll show you guys the finished product. This part is really easy, so just bolt everything up like I said, and you'll be good to go. All right guys, so I just finished putting everything together. So I have, you can see here my little Z emblem, my little horn cover, and everything's attached to the quick release. When I turn it, there's no weird sounds, everything's smooth. When I pull on it, everything's tight, so I'm good to go. So if you guys do the same, everything tests out, your horn works, that means you did everything like I explained, which means you're good to go too. So if you found this video helpful and you enjoyed it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, be sure to give me a subscription, and you guys will know when the next video comes out. The next video will be a walk around in my car. Someone commented to do like a little walk around and explain all the things I did and all the things I want to do. So I'm going to be doing that. So be sure to subscribe so you know when that comes out. And also before I go here, you can see, notice there's no airbag light. So yeah guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.